My friend, welcome to our Operation Greatness Freeing the Matrix Parasite Cleansed Focused Wealth Immersion Action Pod number 71. Today we are considering, will your activism save Americans from starving to death? That's a very poignant question, I realize, and we'll unpack that in this Action Pod number 71. This hidden way evil is attempting to destroy us needs to be spotlighted and stopped. We're going to talk about that in today's podcast. Before we do, I want you to make sure that you are in your center, coming from your place of power. Remember, you are God's gift to the world. You are also prime cause. Where you are giving your attention, you are giving your power. That is how you are creating your life and how we are creating our world. So we're going to showcase something that we all need to step up and stop. We're doing that in our Action Pod number 71. I want you to own your power. See this as no longer a threat, a danger. Because every one of us is stepping into our power, we are becoming the activist leaders. It is our duty to be. Remember, it might not be the exact wording of one of the founding fathers. I don't remember if it was even attributed to one of them. I guess it was loosely translated from what is in our Constitution or our Declaration of Independence. I don't remember the exact source of it, but the point is still important for every one of us. When tyranny becomes law, resistance becomes duty. So I want you to, as we're talking about this, as we're exposing this, revealing this, I want you to stay in your power and recognize that you are the inspired leader of everyone in your community, online as well, and especially offline. Like, for example, by you as part of our freeingthematrix.com mastermind, that I hope you're getting so much value out of it as a $2,500 per month coaching program, as you are leading your Operation Greatness chapter in your community. Well, this is where you are having the influence as the inspired example of how powerful every one of us is. So I want you to stay in your power, stay in your center, and use your power to do what's required of every one of us as we are creating our duty. Well, the earth, we're creating the planet as we require it. We're creating America and every one of our countries as sovereign and free. There's no question about that. Remember, we are sovereign, we are free. This is our duty, our destiny. So let's do this action pod number 71 in that light, in that awareness, in that focus of our power. We're making ourselves known and our requirements known and heard and seen and enacted. Plain and simple as that. That's how we are required to live our lives. Creating everything we want and allowing nothing that blocks what we want. Right, right, right. So let's do this from this point of view, from this place of our power. So I'm going to share with you something on, I call it Twitter, that I posted a few days ago. Somebody responded back. I'm showing you this on video. If you're leading your own Operation Greatness chapter in your community, then you're able to do this on the video, and that's where it's more impactful. And yet, I'll describe this if you're listening to the podcast or if you're doing this through the freeingthematrix.com mastermind without leading your Operation Greatness chapter, then you might want to think about upping your game and giving yourself the best. This is all through our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. So I posted this, which we'll read shortly, and a gentleman named Dennis said he forwarded this to, or he shared this with at real Donald Trump, President Trump's X account, and he shared it with JD Vance at JD Vance, and he shared it with at Pam Bondi. So that was pretty interesting. And he said, "Can we clean this up?" And then I wrote back, "Yes, we can." I responded to his question where he shared my initial post with President Trump and JD Vance, Vice President Vance, and with Pam Bondi. What is she? Attorney General, I think, or head of, I don't remember exactly. I think she's Attorney General, Pam Bondi. She's head of the FBI and, the services, let's just say. I think she's the number one attorney in America now. Anyway, and I wrote back, "Yes, we can and we must. Thank you for sharing it with the direct leaders to right this critical wrong. We must all also do our part locally in our states and rallying everyone in making America great again, starting with making our lives great, becoming strong individually. We're doing that together through our freeingthematrix.com mastermind." So that's what my response was, and let's see what we're talking about here. This is really important for every one of us to recognize, so take this to heart as you are doing your part in being the inspired leader of your community, of your family, of your local area, of your neighborhood, and among all your online friends through our freeingthematrix.com mastermind, and especially you leading your own Operation Greatness chapter, online as well as offline. So this was the post I made. I said, "Wow, read this. It's revealing another important way the globalists, communists, predators, parasites, all of those groups I call collectively evil, just to keep it simple, these evil running, or this evil group running Biden, Obama, etc., were destroying America. Of course, with the poisoning of the food, water, air, minds, and spirits, it's all interconnected. Let's talk freely about this in the freeingthematrix.com mastermind, as well as right here. We must all do our part locally and at the state and national level to get America back in its preeminent position of power. Do you agree? Do you agree with my premise that we all have to do what's required of every one of us to step up and to be that example of how much more is possible for every one of us? That requires all of us living our best lives and not tolerating evil, standing up to it, make sure that it has no place in our lives or our world or our communities or our families or our minds or our bodies. This is obvious, right? So make sure that you're creating this. Agreed? So this is really a message of empowerment, but doing what's required. We have to do the work. We have to roll up our sleeves and do the work in righting the injustices that we had permitted by complying, by being silent. We complied with evil. We were complicit in evil taking over and attempting to destroy us. So I'm reading this post that was shared by a woman named Sovi, and she shared this maybe a day or two before I posted my comment because I saw it in my feed. And she writes, I guess I should give you her Twitter handle, which is Sovey_X, Sovey. She did some research here, I think, and she's a very good writer. She says, this is her words, you can't outsource sovereignty. America doesn't run on social media, it runs on calories. And without control over our food system, we lose control over everything else. Right now, food security is treated like an agricultural issue. It's not, it's national security. Always has been, always will be. In 2024, America exported $176 billion in agricultural goods. Nearly half of that went to just three countries. Guess which countries? Mexico, Canada, and China. Mexico is now our top buyer. I did not know that, did you? That's pretty interesting, would you agree? I thought we imported more food from Mexico. I didn't know we exported more food than anywhere else to Mexico. Sovi writes, or continues, we are the largest exporter of soybeans on earth. Did you know that? I know that we had a lot of soybean subsidies. In 2024, soybean exports alone totaled $24.6 billion. Corn added another $13.9 billion. You know, there's issues with GMO corn, right? So he continues, animal proteins like beef, pork, and poultry made up nearly 14% of our total export value. Remember, our export total was $176 billion in agricultural goods. Continuing with the article, but while we are feeding everyone else, we are losing our grip at home. This is key, so I want you to really hear this. 13.5% of U.S. households, over 18 million families, were food insecure in 2023. For households with children, it was almost 18%. Remember, that's 18 million families with just 13.5%, and yet with children, it's almost 18%. Is that incredible? In the land of the free? She continues, and that is just the visible part. Our inputs are no longer our own. By 2024, we imported $9.37 billion in fertilizer. This is where it gets critical for us all to stop this incursion of evil on our soil and in our soil. 30% of our nitrogen fertilizer came from Canada. The rest came from places like Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. That's alarming, would you agree? At the same time, foreign investors now own, get this, 46.7 million acres of American farmland. That is 3.6% of all U.S. agricultural land. It grew by 1.6 million acres in just 1 year. Canada owns the largest share of at over 15 million acres, followed by the Netherlands, Italy, and the UK. China owns less than 1%, but still controls over 380,000 acres, often through shell companies or holding groups. 380,000 acres of farmland China owns. Is that appropriate, or is that something that we must end now? Share your thoughts about all this in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind, because this is critical. This is a national security issue, as Sophie points out here. Food isn't just something you buy, it's something you defend. Ask any general. You don't fight wars with hungry soldiers. You don't maintain peace with empty shelves. You don't project power from a country that can't plant, grow, harvest, or ship. Very compelling point, would you agree? World War II wasn't won by factories alone, it was won by farms. We didn't just feed ourselves, we fed our allies. We starved our enemies. That was that was not charity, that was strategy. You're seeing how important this is and how this is the new battlefield for the war for humanity, right? Today, our food system depends on diesel, natural gas, imported fertilizer, and global shipping lanes. You disrupt any of that, and you don't just get shortages, you get riots, blackmail, and strategic leverage. Going back again to how much land China owns. And I didn't even know that Russia owned farmland in America, did you? You want to bring a country to its knees without firing a shot? You don't attack its capital, you squeeze its harvest. While the media obsesses over optics, our rivals are playing the long game. China isn't just buying grain, they are buying the land under it. Russia isn't out competing us at the market, they are blocking ports and cornering fertilizer supply. Remember when, this is me interjecting this, remember when there was all the talk about, well, I mean, when Biden basically did his best to destroy industry in America by exporting it all to China, well, it turns out that Russia was a big beneficiary of that as well. I mean, like, depleting our oil, our gasoline reserves. Anyway, I mean, it was all a direct assault on our sovereignty. It was all intentionally done to weaken us, destroy us, make us a globalist candidate for takeover. Anyway, I hope you realize all that and talk about all this in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. Back to the article. Meanwhile, our own government subsidies, wait, excuse me. Meanwhile, our own government subsidizes soda, punishes beef, and regulates farmland like it is plutonium. Remember that whole thing about like you can't, I mean, there's been laws that have been passed, especially under the communist dictator Biden, where people can't even grow their own gardens, or that farmers can't even plant, they have to be, I mean, I've seen other posts where, who was this anyway? This was somebody who lives next door to a chicken farm, I think, or maybe his best friend or something was a chicken farmer, and all of the food that he couldn't feed his chickens what he wanted. It was sent by, what's it called? Dyson, I think. I mean, I don't eat meat, so I don't really know, but Tyson, I think it was. Tyson. They would send all of the food that, because somebody asked a question like, is it just me or does all the food, all the chicken now taste bad? And this person was explaining that, yeah, his friend or his neighbor or something raises chickens, and he has to use the feed that Tyson gives him, and they tell him how much to feed and how, I mean, it's all, and then they take away the chickens at night when like in the early hours of the morning. It's like all almost like cloak and daggers, and it's very, I mean, you know that they're depleting the nutrients in our food and in our soil. And I mean, that's another aspect of all of this anyway. It's like pathetic. It's just evil. It's insidious. And it's yet it's happening right in front of us. And see, be careful how you use your power. We were just sitting blindly like ducks, waiting to be picked off one by one. And yet now we're needing to be our leaders, the leaders of our communities, and to rally everyone to step in and stop this from happening right in front of us, right underneath our noses, you might even say. So let's continue with the article. The American farmer is expected to feed the world, navigate foreign inputs, and survive on margins thinner than the seed packets they plant. This isn't sustainable, it's negligent. President Trump saw what the bureaucrats missed. His trade deals weren't just about money, they were about access and control. He expanded beef exports to Britain, pork to Japan, and tore down regulatory gatekeeping between the American farm and global markets. He rebuilt the emergency food reserves. Did you know that we had an emergency food reserve? I don't think I've heard about that before. Probably because it's not getting attention because they wanted that to be depleted and us to be vulnerable by the communist takeover that was attempted and is still in the background as you're seeing right here. Continuing with the article, he being President Trump, he streamlined nutrition contracts. He pushed to revive domestic fertilizer production. See, that's what's needed here. Just like with steel and aluminum, he treated food as a pillar of national strength. He didn't want it outsourced, he wanted it fortified. That's intelligent. That's required, right? See, we need strong leadership. We need people who are America first, who care about and love America, not are ashamed of it like Obama and, well, just, selling it to the highest bidder like Biden. Anyway, back to the article. He, being President Trump, didn't just say food security mattered, he treated it like war prep. Because food security doesn't need a press release, it needs a plan. If we want to protect this country, we need to stop treating food as a lifestyle issue. It's not about grocery stores, it's about grid stability, military readiness, and geopolitical leverage. This isn't about nostalgia for tractors or farm to table sentimentality. It's about whether America can withstand pressure. You can't defend a country you can't feed. That's the end of the article from Sovi. And then she shared a graphic that I have seen before. Let me just describe that to you a little. It's a little small, so I have to blow it up, but it's revealing foreign owned land by country. So I'm expanding that and it's by county, excuse me, foreign owned land by county. And it shows the 48 continental states. And let's just read some of this here. The top 5 states with the most foreign farmland investors. Number 1 is Maine. That's kind of interesting. I don't remember seeing that before. Or maybe I think I saw this map, but I didn't really study it before. 21.1%. Hawaii, 12.8%. Alabama is number 3, 8.6%. Michigan is number 4 with 8.6% also. So I guess that's a tie, third and fourth. And number 5 is Nevada with 8.1%. the top 5 states with the most foreign farmland investors. And so it looks like, well, let's see, the acres. Okay, I guess that would be a little hard to describe visually, probably. The highest acreage is 450,000 plus acres, and that's the color. It's kind of like a brownish color, and I see that in Colorado. And I saw, oh, that's all over Maine. There's a big area of that in Maine. And oh, wow, we see that along the East Coast as well, along several states there, like Pennsylvania. Well, let's see. Yeah, there's a big swath of that, 450,000 plus in Washington. There's one in California. Anyway, this is the issue. So how do you respond to this? You recognize that this is a security issue, right? And that we have to be food secure. And I mean, I think we've seen bills or drives to require, I think this is at the state level, that states are saying we will not allow foreign farmland ownership in our state, or at least I remember seeing it in terms of not allowing China to buy farmland or to own any farmland. And maybe that was even in Texas, where they were undoing the land purchases that China has made. And we've already seen, I mean, I don't know if you've heard the talk about there being already, well, it's almost like China, well, they're pushing the idea anyway, that China has already bought land and started to build bases on it, which is kind of interesting. It's almost like they're prepping for something. Anyway, the point is that we need to be vigilant in protecting our farmland and our farmers. And, we are sovereign, we are free, this is our duty, our destiny. Well, our farmers are sovereign and our farmers are free. This is their duty, their blessing, their gift to farm the way the market demands. And that doesn't mean the cheapest. And I mean, how important is it also for us to stop poisoning our farm land and depleting its nutrients and to add topsoil to the soil and to not just do, I don't know what they call it, strip farming? I mean, in other words, like where it's just, I mean, like Monsanto, owned by Bayer now, the chemical giant that is the source of GMO poisoning. And I mean, it's up to us because we have all the power. Remember that always. Like, is it appropriate? How is it even possible that we live in a world where you go to the grocery store and you take your produce with poisons, or you pay a third more for it without poisons? How is that even a thing? Or how is it even possible that I think I just saw this maybe this morning or yesterday. I think it said this was like related to RFK Jr. doing his part, his work. I mean, every one of us is required now to do our work. That means you in your local area, maybe at your state level as well, maybe at the national level as well. However, you are called to be of service. I think I saw that this was a video that I saw. I think this was last night. And it's a video that I might be sharing with people as well. I inquired about that and I'm waiting for a response about that. We were going back and forth, and I mean, we only like 2 times, I guess. Anyway, the video said that, I think it said there are 1,000 chemicals in our food supply in America, and the equivalent of that in like maybe it was the UK or Europe. I don't remember exactly the nuance of that, but I think there was like 18 chemicals in the food from American food producers over there because the European Union or the UK, I don't remember which jurisdiction it was, they care about their people. They weren't as corrupt as the FDA or, of course, the World Health Organization or the NIH or the Gates Foundation. I mean, all of these sources of evil that were betraying America, Americans, American families, American children. I mean, how is it possible that the ingredients are like 2 or 3 inches long on the package in America and in the same company, like Nestle or whatever it is, over in the UK, it might have like 14 ingredients instead of like, 80 or 70 or whatever. And, all of that being things that are banned over there because they care about their people and they are not betraying their people like our companies were. We must demand that our companies treat us appropriately. I was going to say honorably or with respect or with like they care about us. Otherwise, we must demand, well, we must use our dollars, put our money where our mouth is, literally in this case, and not tolerate any of this garbage, this poison. I mean, walk away from it completely. So we have to be educating ourselves. We have to stop the poisoning of our food supply and of our children. You love your children, right? You love America, right? You love your community, your neighbors. I mean, this is reminding us how important, how imperative it is that we become parasite cleansed. That means removing the poisons in our food supply, in our bodies, in our air, in our water, in our minds from the TV programming, which is designed to weaken you. I mean, anyway, you must become parasite cleansed. That's like something required of every one of us. That's all through the freeingthematrix.com mastermind. So talk about all this in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. We must all stand up and take action and rid the world of this poison. There's no place in our lives for it anymore. We must not tolerate it at all anymore. Do you agree? So if you haven't already been doing this, go back to the beginning of this Operation Greatness Action Pod number 71. Pause and reflect on each point. Share your thoughts and feelings, especially your feelings about each point, as separate posts on your social media. This is how you're leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating everyone connected with you. Doing the work required of every one of us now. So you're bringing every one of your online friends into this conversation as we are all stepping up and demanding that none of this poisoning is allowed anymore in our food and in our water and in our air and in our lives. Pretty straightforward. This is required of every one of us to demand this. We require this now. So take action and step up and do the work required of every one of us now. We must demand that this poisoning stop immediately. No question about that. Do you agree? Are you on board with this? So in each of the posts that you're making, use your invite people link that you got when you became part of the freeingthematrix.com mastermind yourself. And because this is how you're transforming the lives of everyone connected with you, and then they're getting on board and they are transforming the lives of everyone connected with them. This is financial freedom money for every one of us, and it's the work every one of is required now to do. So do this yourself, and then take all the posts that you're making yourself, send them to me personally at dan@danclatt.com, and the essay that you're sending me, and talk about what's most important here and what actions you are now taking yourself in your power, standing in your power, owning your power as we're all now commanding our destiny. And then share that essay that you're sending me as well in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. Do you agree this is required of every one of us? And now you're doing this yourself. You're leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating everyone connected with you because nothing matters more than all of us creating the world we require. Would you agree? I love you. I believe in you. I know how much you matter by doing this yourself and by leading everyone connected with you and doing this themselves. We're stopping this assault on humanity. We're liberating our human family, and this is the work for which we were born. This is our higher purpose, and we're all doing this together. So I thank you for doing this with us in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.